Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the show, welcome back to the Music Dungeon with me, Mac Plays Banjo. Now, Rob Scallon has a lot of banjo YouTube videos. He's primarily a guitarist. I think he's like a professional guitarist. He's really, really good on guitar. I know, right? Gross. But he's done a lot of banjo YouTube videos where he does metal songs covered on banjo. So this one, Slipknot, has 30 million views, Slayer, 10 million views, Metallica, 7.6 million views, another Metallica, Battery, 3.3 million views, and Gojira, 1.6 million views. Only 1.6 million views. Loser. Yeah, but he also has this video, which is Learning the Banjo with a Pro. And that's what we are going to be analyzing today. We're going to look at it and see if we can learn anything. Because this dude that he's learning from, Ben Wright, pretty good player. I've seen some clips of him playing, and he seems like a really personable guy. And he's going to teach Rob how to play the banjo. And hopefully we'll learn a few things too. So let's just hop right into it, shall we?
I think we nailed it first try.
Yeah, we did.
All right. And the henhouse prowlers.
Yeah.
Or at least part of it.
Yeah.
You and the
Henhouse prowlers? What are you, a bunch of possums? Is that what you want? I thought that'd just be the guitarist and the bassist.
bass
Two of us, yeah.
So today, I'm gonna learn how to play banjo, and play banjo like for real. I have a series of videos that were like some of the first things that were really popular on this channel, which were metal banjo covers.
Okay,
So like,
That's awesome.
you know, playing Slayer on banjo.
Yeah.
Rob, you can get a better banjo. You have 2.6 million subscribers. You can afford to get a better banjo than this. What even is this?
Reoccurring comment on all of them. That's not really banjo playing. You're just playing guitar on banjo. Like, play banjo for real. Today I get the
Oh, it's a Fender. Yeah, dude, get a better banjo. You don't need to use this Fender without a tone ring.
chance to do that.
Yeah.
So Ben Wright is a
Anymore.
professional banjo player, like bluegrass, would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
Or really, really fast bluegrass playing.
Yeah, that's a big part of bluegrass banjo playing is playing fast. As a guitar player, you're playing with a single pick.
Yeah.
And you're playing super fast, but I'm using 3 fingers. Like the style of playing I'm playing is called 3-finger style, Scruggs style, because
Of Earl Scruggs?
Impressive. A guitarist knowing who Earl Scruggs is. A metal guitarist, no less. I'm impressed.
Scruggs.
I do know Earl Scruggs.
Yeah. Like having 3 picks allows you the ability to play faster, cleaner.
And you can divide it amongst the strings and divide it amongst the fingers and then play really, really fast. Like the first tune that comes to mind is Foggy Mountain Breakdown.
Absolutely. That's one of the first tunes you kind of have to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is the...
He has a very restrained playing style. I'm not sure how to describe it other than the restrained. It kind of sounds like his hand is... I don't know. Just listen to this.
Yeah, I mean, that is the...
I don't know. There's something about that that really feels like he's not letting loose. Not saying that's a bad thing or anything. It's just a sound that I hadn't really heard before.
of Scruggs style banjo. But I take a little bit of an issue with people giving you a hard time and saying you're not playing real banjo because
I don't have an issue with that. I think those people are right.
there's a lot more ways to play this instrument than just Scruggs style, and it goes back.
Yeah, there's melodic style and there's single string style, and those are the three ways that are legally allowed to play banjo. No, I'm kidding.
Back way before Scruggs. I mean, the banjo originally came over from Africa.
That's like one of the few things that I know about banjo.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to point out that I didn't even really need to say that you were a professional banjo player. You can just look at the head of this banjo. You can see the hours. Which one of us is the...
I mean, this head kind of looks... It doesn't really look like a professional banjo player head to me. This looks like some old dude who's been playing the same banjo without doing any setup for like 40 years or something. Most professional players are going to replace their head before it gets anywhere near that messed up. If you look at my banjo head, I've been playing on this one since August, so what, 5 months? And it's definitely got, you see that darker spot there? It's definitely starting to show signs of use. I want to get a different head on here because I don't really like the daring heads. So it's going to be another couple months for me before it's pretty much worn out. I will never ever get a head that dirty. It would drive me nuts.
The professional banjo player.
You know, one of the core things of bluegrass banjo is you have to anchor your fingers. I've worn the paint off this plastic
So that's your ring finger right there.
Yeah, and my ring and my pinky.
Paint? Is that, I mean, I'm assuming that's a top frosted head and he's wearing away the frosting. So maybe it is paint. I don't know.
Together. You change the tone of the instrument. The closer you play to the bridge, the more banjo it is. You play you know, so.
So here's a heat map of how often you want the twang. Right? Like, and I can see you want it more often than not. Yeah.
I do, and that's a personal taste thing. You know?
You can see that he and I have very different tastes because if you look at my head again, let's make sure I get this in the whole frame. The only dark area is up here, which is kind of fun. I mean, there's some down here, but there's definitely a lot more up here. And I'm definitely a much more mellow player than this guy. Mellow in the sense of I have a much less bluegrassy tone. My tone is a lot softer than his. Nothing wrong with that. Like you said, it's just personal preference.
Like I really do like the twang. It's what drew me to the instrument in the first place.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
I would think with bluegrass as well, because there's so many other instruments backing you up, you would want that twang to like really cut through.
Absolutely.
Rob is an intelligent person. He understands these things. The sound that you're going to want to go for with your banjo is definitely very influenced in what context you're playing it in. Because say you're playing it solo, you could definitely loosen up the head a lot more and do some other things to get a really mellow, beautiful tone that has a lot of body, a lot of low end, right? That's going to sound really, really good solo, but you're just going to get drowned out in a bluegrass context. Whereas if you're playing in bluegrass bands all the time, you want that punch so you can cut through. But it probably wouldn't sound as good in, you know, say Bela had the super punchy bluegrass tone in Parallel Motion, it wouldn't sound very good. If you are good with banjo setup, you can definitely set it up differently for every different musical context that you're playing in. And that's a really valuable thing to learn about for sure.
When I'm taking a solo, when I'm in the lead, which is one of the tenements of bluegrass, kind of like jazz too, is like everybody has a shot at taking a solo.
Yeah.
And when I'm taking a solo,
Jazz and bluegrass are very, very similar. You wouldn't really expect that. At least most people I've talked to do not expect that, but they are very similar styles of music, like kissing cousins.
I do tend to be closer to the bridge to really cut through. If I'm doing my job correctly, when the mandolin or guitar taking a solo, I should be up here to stay out of their ways.
Guitarists actually have a similar thing with the pickups that we use.
Oh, is that what?
Yeah, like bridge, you're usually in front, you're like more twangy.
Right.
And then neck pickup. Back to the origin of the banjo,
Yeah.
or even further, what is a banjo?
The great, 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 great grandfather or mother of this instrument came from West Africa. Probably the most famous is called the akonting. And we've been lucky enough to tour over there, and we played with a guy in Niger that
Dude sounding like Bela Fleck, throw down your heart, what?
had a akonting. It was a three-stringed instrument. It had a string halfway up the neck, like my banjo does. And all I had to do was tune my banjo down a half step, the whole thing, and we were able to play together.
Wow.
Didn't speak a word,
Yeah.
but we could play
Wow.
music together instantly.
Yeah, and there's probably like, what, hundreds of years between those two
Oh my
instruments?
gosh, yeah,
And-
easily,
Yeah.
like hundreds and hundreds. You know, but what happened was the slave trade, Atlantic slave trade, all these enslaved people came over to America. We do a lot of work with kids, and I think that's an important thing to talk about, is the real history of this
Absolutely.
instrument. Those enslaved people were still making instruments,
Yep.
and that's where the banjo took seed in the U.S. It's had a complicated history since then.
Yeah. The first time that I learned that the banjo was originally an African instrument, that was like completely counter, because I only associated with like bluegrass and like the southern United States. With a little bit more thought, it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense that it would be prominent in the southern United States. That's
Right,
like,
I mean, that's where a
it
lot
was
of...
brought over by the slave trade.
Right.
The idea of the banjo was brought over by enslaved people.
Yeah.
Didn't change that much. You just have steel strings, right?
This is now a drum. Like, it's so obvious.
Yeah, this is just a
Right.
drum.
This is a fairly typical bluegrass banjo now. It's pretty heavy.
Ooh.
Yeah, dude.
That is just a big hunk of metal.
It is.
That is not like this one at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben's banjo actually has a tone ring, which weighs a lot. Rob's definitely does not. His is just a solid flat wood rim that they put the head over, but Ben's definitely has a tone ring in it, which adds like 3-4 pounds, which is like the weight of some guitars. Can be like 3-4 pounds, a light guitar, I think. So yeah, having a banjo Like, especially if it's strapped and you're standing up for like 2 hours for a concert, that'll mess with your back. That's rough. I've been there. I've actually been in jam sessions where we're in like a tiny little room and I'm just standing in the same spot for like 3-4 hours straight, and it just, oh, dude, it hurts your back so badly.
Yeah.
I got this used in a music store for like $100.
Yeah.
Me and this banjo have been through
You spend $100 too much on that thing. No, I'm kidding.
a lot. Because of the floating bridge, because of it being on a drum, I thought it'd be more fragile. It's not.
Yeah.
It's a drum. Yeah.
You can also get like, you can hear the chords when you're
Yeah.
fretting it. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
When did bluegrass start becoming
Well,
you really?
like, it's arguable, but they say that Bill Monroe, they call the father of bluegrass, he was a mandolin player. He started a band in 1946 called Bill Monroe and his Bluegrass Boys. And that's where people
bluegrass-
started calling it bluegrass after that.
Why the Bluegrass Boys?
Because they were from
rhymed?
Kentucky, and Kentucky is the bluegrass state. When Earl Scruggs joined Bill Monroe's band, they say that was when the music really was born.
And Earl Scruggs is like the Jimi Hendrix of banjo.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Earl Scruggs joined Bill Monroe's band in like December 1945, I think. And that same year was when Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker like started making music together with the Town Hall concert, which was like in June of 1945, which again just kind of shows like how parallel jazz and bluegrass were, or at least bebop and bluegrass, right? They literally kind of like had their big starting moments in the same year within like 6 months of each other. Just kind of a cool coincidence, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think bluegrass is this perfect American genre of music because it's an amalgamation of music from all over the world. There are African roots in this music. There is, Irish, including jazz. There's a lot of jazz in bluegrass.
There's also a lot of Irish. Oh my gosh, there's so much Celtic influence in bluegrass music. If you start going and learning like Celtic fiddle tunes, they will be so similar to a lot of bluegrass fiddle tunes. Like Whiskey Before Breakfast, and I think it's called The Silver Spire. If we listen to this, The Silver Spire. It's literally Whiskey Before Breakfast. It's just articulated differently. You could play this as a break over Whiskey Before Breakfast. Yeah, there are a lot of Celtic songs that are eerily similar to bluegrass ones. Obviously, is that like Celtic music stealing from bluegrass? No. That's bluegrass music stealing from Celtic music stealing back. All these oral music traditions, bluegrass, jazz, Celtic music, have really inspired each other in a lot of ways and have a lot of similarities, but also some striking differences. One of the coolest differences between Celtic music and bluegrass music is that typically the chords in bluegrass music are standard and then you improvise over the melody, whereas in Celtic music, a lot of the time when you're jamming, the melody is standard and then the backup players improvise new chord progressions under the melody, which is so cool. As a bluegrass player, that's just like not how you think. It's really cool to think that way. And then jazz kind of does both, of course. Jazz has had a lot more outside influence than bluegrass or Celtic so far. So anyway, a lot of cool similarities and differences you can learn from there.
I've always felt that like bluegrass and metal have a similar, at least they're like high energy, lots of notes.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I get a similar feeling with bluegrass than I get with
Absolutely. I think bluegrass is pretty punk rock.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you play it like bluegrass? And I mean, so I know a little bit of like finger picking from playing acoustic guitar. Maybe we play Foggy
hope he
Mountain
tunes
Breakdown.
it.
I mean, if that's the...
Let's start with some basics.
I think Rob could play Foggy Mountain Breakdown. I have total confidence that Rob could pick up Foggy Mountain Breakdown very quickly.
We got to start with picks.
So you always play with picks attached to your fingers?
Yeah. Without it, this instrument just doesn't.
That's how I've been playing it.
Sounds terrible. That's what it sounds like.
Right? And if you want to be a bluegrass
Take that, claw hammer players. I'm going to get banned from YouTube.
musician,
And I do.
you got to use picks. So here's a thumb pick and 2 finger picks.
Big claw hammer is going to take down this channel.
Thumb pick just like that.
And then I use these 2 fingers right here.
Yeah, 1 or 2, your pinky or your ring finger to anchor it.
Okay, how do I put this on?
So you want to, you see mine kind of fit relatively tightly and stick off the edge. So you can squeeze the bands there so it gets a little tighter. It's going to feel strange.
Yeah, it does feel strange.
The contact of the pick with the string, it should be right in the meat, right in the middle of that pick. And that makes the sound really clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the foundations of bluegrass banjo is what they call rolls, finger-picking patterns, essentially. The first one you teach somebody, if you count the strings with the...
Okay, what is going on with Ben's finger pick? I mean thumb pick, not finger pick. Look at how this thing is shaped. What the heck? Did his playing bend in like this, or did he melt it? That's so weird. Is it bent down? I don't think it's bent down. Maybe that's just a weird angle.
So the one... Yep. So you've got 3, 2, 5, 1.
Ben, if you're watching this, please comment and tell me what the heck is going on with your thumb pick.
There you go. You got it, too. Yeah, dude.
No.
You got it.
Yeah, Rob could totally pick up Foggy Mountain Breakdown in like a day, I bet. Because he has so much experience with other stringed instruments, and no doubt he's fingerpicked before. Like, this is probably a week beyond what most beginners would be doing, just picking it up the first time they play.
That would be the first one you learned?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know you're a pro musician and everything, but I think it's important for people to recognize that, like, it kind of is this easy. Like, you make it look easy. I remember the first time I sat down with the banjo, I was able to play like that in about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just consistent.
Yeah.
And that's all I was doing was
yep.
the basic roll, and like it's a cool foundation. That was beautiful.
I do this in guitar as well, where I'll tune it to an open tuning, and then all the open strings just give you a G, and you can always, or whatever.
If you're wondering why Rob could do that after playing the banjo for like 2 seconds and you couldn't, it's because Rob is coming from like a professional guitarist background. He understands how a string works. That's pretty much all he was doing. He was just playing the G diatonic scale in an improvisatory way over Ben just doing G stuff. Rob has all that music theory in his head already. He already knows how to work with a string and everything. Like, that's going to be very easy for him with his background, where it's not going to be easy for someone whose first instrument is the banjo or their first stringed instrument is a banjo, right? I definitely could not have done that my first time playing banjo because I didn't play guitar beforehand, and now I could do that with pretty much any stringed instrument because I just kind of understand how it works and I have enough theory knowledge to where I could do a crappy solo over whatever with any stringed instrument because I just kind of get how a string works. There's a lot of crossover between families of instruments.
And revert back to it. And banjo, that's just built in.
Yeah, let me give you another roll too, the forward reverse roll. So it's an 8-note roll.
Okay.
So it's 3, 2, 1, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 1.
Try a melody. There I'm just playing bass. That's just bass playing.
Yeah, he was doing this. That's so wild.
There I'm just playing bass. That's just bass playing.
You approve?
Oh yeah. Okay, sweet. Yeah.
What I'm most impressed with right now is how well Rob is responding to the finger picks, because that's usually a hurdle. Even if someone is a really good guitarist, getting used to the finger picks on their fingers is usually the hardest part, and he's doing it really, really well.
Using finger picks is awesome.
Yeah. It really gives the instrument part of its voice.
Yeah, this sounds like bluegrass.
Yeah,
This sounds like bluegrass to me.
totally.
Another thing I noticed when we were jamming, I'm just hanging around in G major, just going right to my Midwest Illinois boy roots.
Sure.
But like you sound like Kentucky. Why do you sound like Kentucky and I sound like an Illinois boy?
It's the feel that bluegrass has.
Well, like what note are you doing there, right at the beginning?
That's a slide. That's a big fat slide. And these are all Earl Scruggs tenements.
Yeah, that's F, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm thinking this is G, so you're in G major. You wouldn't go to F.
That's the first note of a slide. So
Yeah.
that slide can be, but it could also be.
Yeah, okay. But you hung on the F, and that sounds like Kentucky to me.
There's a lot of flat 7 in bluegrass, definitely.
I mean, to me, I don't know.
Yeah, I've never thought of it that way. This is all just part of my vocabulary that I don't think about that often.
Yeah, but that's what's so fascinating to me, because like G major, you would skip that F, right? And so like, yeah, so I was gonna slide a bit.
Yes, that'd be more like a G Mixolydian thing, right? If you want to say that. There's a lot of flat 7 stuff in bluegrass. There are a lot of songs that have flat 7 chords in them, right? An F major chord, which you wouldn't have in a G. Like pure G diatonic could be F sharp half diminished, right? But there are a lot of songs like Salt Creek or Red Haired Boy where there are flat 7th chords and like flat 7 dominant chords, which is really weird. In G major, like Salt Creek, that goes from G. That goes into an F major chord, which you would think it'd be in C, right? But it always resolves to G. So you start out with the G chord. Then you go to the F chord, which you would think that'd be in C, but then it always resolves to G. Because the chord progression is G, C, F, 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 D, G. So yeah, there are a lot of chromatic tones in bluegrass. I think the most common ones are probably the flat 7 and the flat 3. Which neither of those would be in G diatonically, right? But they sound good and they make the music more colorful, which you can look for a theoretical explanation for it, and it's there. It's definitely there. You can figure out theoretical explanations, but the real reason why it's there is because people were just making this stuff up and it sounded good. Not to say that you shouldn't learn theory or anything. You should. Theory is awesome, but it's not like it was a premeditated choice with these 200-year-old songs that some miner came up with on his handmade fiddle. But that definitely, those chromatic notes definitely contribute to the sound. I think I will call it here. I've been filming for quite a while, but there will be a part 2 coming out probably the day after this one, so make sure to check that out. If you enjoyed this video, go watch the part 2. I'll put it in the, it'll pop up on the screen here somewhere. And then go watch a bunch of my other videos because they're probably like those ones too. So yeah, thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one.